The one with Drake in it. Well, guess what? That version of the Degrassi franchise is celebrating its 20th anniversary. The cast is convening for a panel at the Austin, Texas Television Festival this week, but we've got two of them here right now, Craig and Paige themselves, Jake Epstein and Lauren Collins. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks so much
for having us.
It's very cool to have you. Lauren, 20 years. Can you believe it?
I cannot. And it's crazy, just to think that that's the fourth version of the show is 20 years old. It really is quite a legacy. 20 years ago.
I'm looking forward
to
being
part of a legacy like that. Like just hearing all the different theme songs in your intro there, like just how it's kind of evolved with how music has evolved, and just like really cool being part of sort of a Canadian cult classic, I guess. I don't know.
I think the next version will just be on TikTok.
Yeah, 100%. Like 30-second episode.
We'll have a dance of some kind. I don't know.
Well,
that's what they do on TikTok, right?
We're going to spend some time reminiscing in just a second. But Jake, how would you describe your character from Degrassi: The Next Generation?
Oh boy,
it's been a while.
It's been a long time. I would just so Craig was a bit of a troubled soul. He was introduced into the show with an abusive father. That was his sort of first arc, and I feel like that sort of laid the groundwork for him. We discover he's bipolar. He dabbles in drugs. He is, I could just say, kind of toxic to women, but kind of had a heart of gold at the same time. Just kind of a lovable wounded bird is kind of how I thought of him.
A lovable wounded bird is Craig Manning. And Lauren, what is the essence of Paige Michalchuk?
Well, Paige was the original queen bee of Degrassi Community School. That's definitely where her character started out, kind of your prototypical mean girl, stealing boyfriends and, getting her friends drunk at the high school dance. But like so many of the kids who passed through the halls of Degrassi, some trauma affected her. And in season 2, her big story was a date rape, which really just changed her perspective on everything. So that was a story that, we followed for a couple of seasons, and it softened her. And I think it also brought up questions about her sexuality. And another big storyline for my character was when she started a relationship with a girl, with one of her best friends. And she was, a character on the show that dealt with this idea of bisexuality. And yeah.
Did you know, Lauren, how groundbreaking this stuff was at the time?
I think we knew that we were tackling big ideas, big stories, big topics, but it really wasn't until, we started to connect with fans of the show that the gravity and what it meant to the audience, was clear to us. We started doing mall tours, we started doing events and signings, and that was like the outreach. That's where we would get to talk to people and hear about how the show, helped them through similar situations.
Jake, what were you hearing from people?
Like Lauren said, within Toronto, when we filmed the show, it's sort of, everyone knew someone on Degrassi. I feel like everyone's former roommate was on Degrassi. Like, it wasn't sort of I don't want to say it wasn't a big deal here, but it just was, I don't know, maybe because there's not as much of a star system in Canada or something. But like Lauren said, whenever we'd go to the US, we'd sort of be, our eyes would be open to this world of fans, I guess, of people who watch the show, who would come up to us, take pictures with us.
This was pre-Twitter, pre-social media. So it was these, personal interactions where when you'd actually get to talk to fans of the show, that, what it meant to them really.
Yeah. And I remember we shot an episode when my character got Manny pregnant. And then there was an abortion episode, and we found out that the US had banned the episode and they wouldn't play it. So that was for the time, like I at least growing up in Toronto, that totally blew my mind.
This is in
The US wouldn't play
2004.
this episode. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And it became, funny enough, it allowed the show to become more popular, because I think whenever something is banned, it sort of becomes, cool, or becomes exciting, or, it became a story. Like, why is this? What is this show? Why is there this show that the US is banning, is refusing to play? And I remember feeling proud of being part of something that was pushing the envelope in that way. And yeah.
Lauren, can you think of a time someone said something to you about it that was meaningful to you?
There are a lot of moments. One that kind of really stands out to me, again, happened in the US. We actually went down to shoot in LA for a couple of days. Later on in the season, we did a movie called Degrassi Goes Hollywood. A couple of characters end up in LA. Our characters, actually. And we were shooting on Abbot Kinney. Jake, I think you were in the scene with wasn't it with Pete Wentz or something? There was some weird
Fall Out Boy Pete Wentz?
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I wasn't in the scene, but there was an ice cream shop on the corner right by where they were filming. And we were in LA for a couple of days. It was so fun. We went down, grabbed an ice cream. We were watching them film. And I guess word got out that, we were shooting there. And this girl just, she came down to see. She saw me. She came right over to me. She looked in my eyes, said, "Thank you," gave me a hug, and was on her way. And it was so striking. I'll never forget it. I had chills. I knew what that meant. I knew what she had been through. Everything that was just passed between us in that, 10-second interaction it just made it all. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but it's worth it. You really feel like the work you're doing and the work that we've all done on the show meant something.
My guests today are Lauren Collins and Jake Epstein, two very popular cast members of Degrassi: The Next Generation, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. I am going to play you a song. I am going to cut it, and I want to see if you can finish the lyrics.
Oh, God.
Okay.
You ready? Anyone?
I guess so.
Let's just go.
Yeah.
Every month, she don't even love me, she just putting on a front. She gon' try and settle out of court and make a run.
Nope.
I can't.
I know the song, no lyrics. Dance to it. I'll dance to it.
You know what?
I have no idea.
You know what? We'll cut it. It's all good. But it's
Wait, what is it?
So badly wanted us to just come in together.
It's not started from the bottom, is it?
It's I'm Upset.
Oh, we were in that music video.
That's why we played it.
Video to
Right.
the song. That's why he was playing the thing.
I didn't even know it was.
You know what's funny? When we were gathered together to shoot the music video, and my biggest nightmare was that they were going to ask us to dance or sing along to the song. And I can't call him Drake. We love Aubrey. We're a huge fan of his, love his music. But I was like, do not make me dance to your song. Do not. And sure enough, it was to a T. They were like, okay, everyone, now dance to the song, sing along. And we were like, yeah. Just
I have to say though, that was that's gotta be everyone's dream. It was going back to your high school with all your friends, everyone you went to school with, but no teachers, no principal, maybe a little bit of booze, maybe a little bit of, whatever. And just have an all night party. And that's exactly what we did. And it was so much fun.
What do you think his popularity did for the legacy of the show?
I mean, he's the most famous rapper on the planet.
One of
So
the most famous
I feel
people on
like
the planet. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. So I feel like anyone with that level of fame, anything they've been associated with, gets a spotlight, right? And it's kind of interesting that this rapper, this well-respected rapper, was on this Canadian teen soap opera. So I think it's certainly, I don't know, it probably introduced a lot of people to the show.
I think people who were fans of him on the show and have grown with him feel a real sense of ownership over our Aubrey. I think they really feel like I knew him when I started from the bottom with him. I was there, right?
I was like, don't say it.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like those
also
are the real fans. Those are the real.
It's also
fans.
cool that he hasn't ignored it. Like the fact that he did this, weird, ironic music video where he brought the Degrassi cast together. Like I think it was a really funny, really cool move of his to really kind of wear it proudly, and
he always has
such a fan of Toronto and Canada, like never ashamed of his roots. I think it's I respect. I think it's cool.
Are you ready? Because we are going to do the second ever Q Degrassi trivia. We did it once before with the folks from the original show. This is going to be Degrassi Next Gen trivia only.
Okay. How did they do on the original one?
Good question. I think they did pretty good. Yeah, I think they got almost all of them.
Ooh, right. Okay.
So I think Joey knew everything.
Yeah,
Pat Mastroianni knew everything.
That's like if Shane was here, Shane who played Spinner, he would nail this. Definitely get every question.
All right, Jake's taking a drink. I assume
taking some caffeine sip. No Google, right? Okay.
So if you get the right answer, you'll hear this sound. And if you get the wrong answer, you'll hear this. Are you ready?
Ready.
In the episode Rock and Roll High School, you both performed against each other in a Battle of the Bands contest. Lauren, actually either of you, what were your band names and what songs did you play? Raise your hand.
Hell Hath No Fury, Mr. Nice Guy.
Jake, do you know yours?
Downtown Sasquatch, Dust.
I did not know that.
Well done.
I didn't know the name of your song. That's good.
Jake, this question is for you.
Okay.
In Lauren's first episode, she made a pronouncement that has become one of her most famous lines. What is it?
New year, new look, new page.
Hey.
Yes.
Can we play the clip of her saying it?
New year, new look, new page.
I want to say, as we played that, Lauren put her hands over her head.
Oh God! Every time I hear it, I'm like, it's so terrible. Like I just sound so.
It was
terrible.
cool. That's like on paper. It could be like kind of a really cheesy line, and I thought you really you kind of rock it in an iconic way. So.
Thanks,
All right, Lauren, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
What William Shakespeare play were Craig and Ashley performing when they realized they had feelings for each other?
I have no idea. Wait, let me think. I honestly have no idea. Romeo and Juliet?
Let's hear it. Jake, do you know it?
Taming of the Shrew?
Taming of the Shrew. Let's hear it a little bit.
Kate, in sooth you scape not so.
I chafe if I tarry, let me go.
Nay, thou must be married to no man but me.
What do you think?
Intense. Yeah, I don't know if they're admitting their love for each other. I think he's like reenacting his abuse, his relationship, how his father treats him. I think that was my memory.
But I think there was some love after that, wasn't there?
There was probably some love after that.
I think so. All right.
Yeah.
In the episode Secret, this is for either of you. First to raise their hand gets this one. In the episode Secret, Jimmy, or Aubrey or Drake, convinces Craig and Marco to break him out of the hospital to go see a concert. Who was performing?
Oh my God, Kid Elric?
Kid Elric.
Oh my gosh, I had no clue.
Kid Elric, who I feel like shows up throughout the fake artist.
Kid Elric was it was who we all loved. That was
I had Heather Sinclair was like my.
It was always like we got Kid Elric tickets.
And Kid Elric was the band.
It was like tickets to Kid Elric. Yeah.
In season 4, Paige appeared in Jay and Silent Bob Go Canadian A film shot by Kevin Smith. What Paige line appeared in the final cut?
Okay. You said it. Do you
Did
remember?
I say something like, oh, I don't know.
In the final cut, it wasn't it like it was like
I know, I'm like, Gross Me Green? Was
Gross
that
Me
it?
Green.
Oh,
Yes.
that might have been another episode.
Oh, okay.
Trick question. She was cut from the film.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
There you go.
Wait, I don't really
There
remember
you
when that
go.
happened, but yeah.
I don't know if that counts as the wrong answer for you guys, but we'll keep going. All right.
Man.
This is the last question, and I think this will be perhaps a bit challenging. Craig and Ashley submitted a song for the soundtrack, but it was rejected. What was the feedback they got?
Oh man.
I have no clue.
We submitted a song for the soundtrack
Of the Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Yeah, of the Kevin Smith film, yeah.
I'm not gonna get this. Like something like it was too
Too emo. I mean,
dark. Yeah,
like
something
that.
like too sad, too depressing.
Yeah, I'll give you a thumbs up.
Okay.
The feedback was it sounded like a whiny girl trying to be a Kate Bush accompanied by a Van Halen wannabe.
Okay.
Oh my
That's a
God.
line that, like, now, I don't know if that would fly.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
Guys, you did pretty good at the Degrassi trivia.
Not horrible.
Okay.
By the numbers, Jake won. But you know what? I'll say that you both shared the victory.
I think so.
You are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the show. You have a reunion panel this week in the US where the show currently streams for free. Here in Canada, all seasons are rerunning on YTV. Lauren, do you ever catch an episode and maybe feel a bit nostalgic?
Yeah, I don't often tune in when I see it. We have a really big TV. TVs weren't that big when the show was first on. And it's just like a lot to see, our faces so huge as we were going through puberty. So, it's funny. It's like watching another person. Like it just feels like another life.
Jake, how about you?
Yeah, I'm in this. It's hard to watch. There was once there was a I don't have cable where I'm staying right now, but I was crashing at my parents' house, and I was sort of going through the TV and I saw an old episode and I watched it. It's funny, at the time when I watched, I was mortified. I hated everything about how I looked, how I sounded. And now I can sort of see it from afar. I'm sort of proud of it. I was like, oh, we're kids. We're acting like we're 15-year-old
like
kids.
We sound
We
like
look
kids.
like kids. We're sounding like kids.
At the beginning of quarantine, I live streamed myself watching an episode from season 1. That was a trip.
How was that?
I mean, I literally hadn't seen it in probably 18 years. The storyline was nuts. Season 1 episodes were really, they didn't go there. They did not.
Well, you know what? I think what's been remarkable to me is that, and I think it goes without saying, that you guys have done very well since Degrassi. You've had illustrious careers that, and continue to thrive, and we're looking forward to seeing more of you guys as this pandemic dies down. But, do you still get called by your characters' names every now and then?
I mean, I'll still get like, oh, Degrassi, not so much Paige, but yeah, I mean, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it's like what Jake was saying at the beginning. Everyone knows someone who is on the show. Here.
Right.
I was gonna say it's usually like Craig, and then it's like my cousin played, Kid Elric or something. It's always like, oh yeah, he's the best. Like there's a real in Toronto, at least, there's the real familial vibe. Like it's a show that's very much ingrained in the city. Mm-hmm. In the US, I mean, I moved to New York. I lived there for 8 years, and people would sometimes just scream my character's name or.
And online, like on Instagram, on Twitter.
Sure.
That, people just love any bit of nostalgia. I think a lot of people rediscovered the show or went back to visit it during this past year. I think it's, those feelings of nostalgia were comforting.
Yeah, it is that kind of show. Jake, last question then. What does it mean to have been part of the show?
I mean, it's funny when I did it, when I was on the show, sometimes it felt hard to be part of it. I think part of that is because I went to a normal high school, and so the fans of the show were the people around me, and so people would say, "I hate your character," or tell me, like, it was a lot of attention. And so for a long time, I left the show. I went to theater school. I did my own thing. I was sort of trying to get away from it. And after a while, I mean, besides the fact that after graduating school and everyone in my class was auditioning for Degrassi, which was ironic, I just got to see the show for what it was. And it was really showing a lot of storylines that were ahead of its time. It was giving a lot of comfort to people. It was a lot of people felt like they had friends because they were friends with our characters from watching. And it really feels like ingrained in the Canadian culture. So now I just feel really super proud. I feel very excited and honored when anyone recognizes me now for the show, because it's a huge part of my life, and it feels good to be part of something that I think was positive and portraying positive storylines for a lot of people.
Lauren, last question to you.
Yeah, I mean, Jake really said it. I'm honored. It's a legacy, and we're a very small part of it. Yeah, and just to see the lasting power that the show has is really special and really incredible to see, new generations discovering it. I think it is something that people are going to go back to and show their kids. And yeah, I spent twice as much time at Degrassi as I did in my real high school. I also went to a regular high school. So just to think about, you think about how significant high school is in your maturing process. So, just think about the impact that this time had. And those years, I was 14 when I started, all the way up to 24. Like, all my firsts happened while I was on this show, whether they were on the show or in real life. So, it was just a huge chunk of my growing up process. And I do look back on it fondly. I do. Yeah.
I'm glad. And so you should. Guys, thanks so much for joining us today and playing along, and congratulations.
Thanks you for having us.
My guests today were Lauren Collins and Jake Epstein, both celebrating the 20th anniversary of Degrassi, The Next Generation. You can watch back episodes on YTV in Canada and on Tubi in the US.